Happy July 4th. The big beautiful bill passed. Effectively, it passed the Senate, the House, and was signed by the President. Now, what's in it? So first, it's taking all the 2017 Tax Cut and Job Act and it's extending it. It becomes permanent effectively. If this didn't happen, what you would see is anybody that's making above about $11,600, their taxes would have gone from 12% to 15%, and each of these tax brackets were going to go up by a couple of percent. But because this was made permanent, it effectively has reduced the tax rate for the subsequent years from 15% to 12, 25, down to 22. So we're basically remaining at the same tax brackets we were for the prior couple of years. But that was all going to expire, so that's why that was included. The other thing is that it keeps a large standard deduction. If this went away, we would go back to the old system, which was basically you have a personal exemption, standard deduction, and it was less than half of the current standard deduction. So that's going to benefit the majority of people that pay taxes effectively. The other one is the child tax credit was going to revert back to about $1,000 per child, but this going into law effectively, you're looking at about $2,500 per child, and you would have some refundable portion of that as well, even if you didn't make money that year. So SNAP, basically food stamps and Medicaid, these are the big losers in this bill in terms of now there's a work requirement. So if somebody is able-bodied, they're going to have to physically go to work. If they do not go to work, they will lose benefits. And this includes basically if you have parents of children and those children are now 14 or older, those parents have to go back to work. They can't just stay home and collect food stamps and Medicaid. For manufacturing, this is a big one. There's now 100% deduction in the first year of a new building. This is really to push to get U.S. manufacturing back. So generally when you would build a building, you would depreciate that building over maybe like 30 something years. So you could spend a ton of money today and you're not recouping that quick enough. If you build it today and you deduct 100% this year, that really helps, especially if you're trying to get a business off the ground. There's also additional tax credits to get semiconductors produced in the United States. Number 5, basically research and development costs are now deducted 100% in the year that they are incurred. So that way you can spend more on R&D and you take the deduction today. And prior to this, it was needing to be basically deducted over a 5-year period. So then you spend it today and you're waiting 5 years to recoup some of that. 6, so there was a promise on no tax on tips, no tax on overtime pay, and no tax on Social Security. So these come into play where there's now a tips deduction of up to $25,000 a year. So if somebody makes $25,000 in tips, basically they don't pay taxes to the federal government on those tips. So if you add up the $25,000 plus if you had a standard deduction and you're single, that's about $15,000. So that plus the 15 is $40,000. If you were married and only one of you was working, that would be $25,000 plus $30,000. That's $55,000. If both were working in a tip industry, you're talking double this, so that would be $50,000 plus the $30,000. That's $80,000 a year that there would be no tax on those tips effectively from the federal government standpoint. Number 7, overtime pay deductions up to $12,500. So this is trying to make good on that promise of no tax on overtime pay. So you have the $12,500 here, and then again you have $15,000 standard deduction there. So number 8, SALT. Basically, this is state and local taxes. This is usually property taxes. So this has been increased to now $40,000, up from the $10,000 it has been for the last couple of years. And this is for up to someone making $500,000 a year. Number 9, this is another basically loser of this bill. So the EV tax credits of up to $7,500 will be removed as of this September. They were meant to go through, I believe, 2032 as well. The wind, solar, and renewable tax incentives are being removed in 2027. They were supposed to be going out to 2032. So basically, this is undoing some of the work that Biden did on the prior administration. So if I want to put solar on my house or something like that, I need to make a move before 2027, before some of those tax credits run out. 10, basically there are Trump accounts for investments. This is to help incentivize for people to have more babies. So any babies born in the next 4 years that are U.S. citizens, they get $1,000 from the government for free that they put into the account. And those accounts, you can add an additional $5,000 a year. And basically you don't pay any taxes on that until they're 18 or older whenever they withdraw that money. So it's trying to get people to incentivize having more children. The U.S. birth rate is below the replacement rate. Replacement rate's about 2.1. We are well below that. So if you don't have a lot of immigration into the U.S., you're going to have more babies. Otherwise, we'll end up like Japan, and China's starting to go through this demographic as well, being that they have more older people than younger people, and it's becoming harder and harder to support many elderly with less young people to support them. Think of it as, back in the day, I know my mom was one of 7, and then I was one of 2, and now I only have 1 kid. So if I think to my grandmother, she has 7 kids, so 1 kid takes every day of the week effectively, and they can help take care of the grandmother. Whereas myself and my sister, if we had to take care of our parents, then we would have to take 3.5 days. And then if my daughter has to take care of myself and my wife, she would have to help basically for all 7 days. So it becomes harder and harder if you think of it in that way. And it's the same thing with Social Security. There are fewer and fewer people working that are putting money into the accounts to support those that are withdrawing from the accounts. That's the whole issue with Social Security right now as well. All right, number 11. So there's additional immigration funding. This is for ICE and the border wall. Number 12, Social Security deduction of $6,000 per person over the age of 65 years old. And this is fulfilling that promise of no tax on Social Security. This is for an adjusted gross income of less than $75,000 per individual, or less than $150,000 per couple or married filing jointly. And this will cover about 90% of anybody on Social Security, so that they don't effectively have tax on Social Security. So that's making good on several of the campaign promises. So if you look at this, the takeaway from this is going to benefit the majority of Americans who go to work, earn an income. If they want to have a family, have kids, it's going to put more money into their pockets. So the people this negatively affects would be anyone that is on food stamps or Medicaid, that are able-bodied and are not working. And if people want to get some EVs or basically alternative energy or solar or wind, these incentives are being removed. So those are the big negatives here. The other one is, what's the cost? So the cost is going to be about $3.4 trillion over a 10-year period. So that's about $340 billion a year. But the benefit is effectively, they're looking at an increase of 0.7% on our GDP annually. So that's going to help grow the economy. All right, well, thank you for watching. If you enjoy learning about how to make more money, how to save, how to invest, and how to be an entrepreneur, please subscribe. This is a channel for you. Thank you for watching and have a great day.